So today the topic is about recovery. So there was an email I got from NA, which said some stuff about recovery, and it's called Just for Today emails. Like, they send it every day. And they quote from the Big Book, page 107. It says, NA offers addicts a program of recovery that's more than just a life without drugs. Not only, one second. Not only is this way of life better than the hell we've lived, it's better than any life we've ever known. Few of us have any interest in recovering what we had before we started using. Oh, so that was from the text. Then they have an email where they write the body of the email. Few of us have any interest in recovering what we had before we started using. Many of recovering what we had before we started using. Many of us suffered severely from physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Getting high and staying high seemed like the only possible way to cope with such abuse. Others suffered in less noticeable but equally painful ways before addiction took hold. We lacked direction and purpose. We were spiritually empty and we felt isolated, unable to empathize with others. We had none of the things that give life its sense and value. We took drugs in a vain attempt to fill the emptiness inside ourselves. Most of us wouldn't want to recover what we used to have. Pausing and saying drugs could be, for each person, anything. Ultimately, the recovery we find in NA is something different, a chance at a new life. We've been given tools to clear the wreckage of our lives. We've been given support in courageously setting forth on a new path. And we've been given the gift of conscious contact with a power greater than ourselves, providing us with the inner strength and direction we so sorely lacked in the past. Recovering? Yes, in every way. We're recovering a whole new life better than anything we ever dreamed possible. We're grateful. Just for today, we've recovered something we never had, something we never imagined possible, the life of a recovering addict. Thank you, higher power, more than words can say. And I find it interesting when there's this, I forget the quote, but about the light from the darkness is so much more powerful than just the light, alone. So I kind of feel like that's what that's about. And there's also something I found online. I do not have the source, but it was like theories of dark matter. And, they say a lot of scientists talk about how the dark matter is actually very bright, but we don't see it. Like, it's not that it's bright, it's that it's high energy, and it, like what we would say light would be. So there's many models that overlap, for example, through shared properties. So these are theories of dark matter. The WIMP less DM, DM stands for dark matter. Hidden sector dark matter, self-interacting DM, dark photon, technoboryons, I think it says, light force carriers, sterile neutrinos, asymmetric DM, worm DM, axion DM, QCD axions, axion-like particles, little Higgs, T-odd DM, primordial black holes, solitonic DM, quark nuggets, UED DM, 6D, 5D, dynamical DM, extra dimensions, warped extra dimensions, RSDM, supersymmetry, NM-SSM, gravitino DM, Q-balls, DRAC DM, PMSSM, MSUR-GRA, R-parity violating, and R-parity conserving. And something I want to share about growing up, like getting life in order and maintaining a program one day at a time, getting self in order, getting home in order, and for me, what growing up kind of is about. I just wanted to write about it, because like recovery, like what is growing up? If I don't want to rescue my old life, if I don't want to recover to my old life, so what is growing up? It's making direct contact with myself and seeing myself from above or from the outside of the self too. Not just only looking out my eyes, but also like getting glimpses of myself from different angles. Not like that I'm actually seeing myself from the outside, but seeing in my mind's eye what I think of myself from the outside or from above. Emotional literacy and fluency, understanding body language and cues, defining emotional messages once they are identified, upregulating or downregulating without substances and addictions and exposure to risk or danger, or sabotaging my progress or growth in order to stay in the comfort zone of safety instead of transition, in other words, change. I wrote about weed, that it helped me become aware of the division between in and out, and also how fuzzy it can be, and also the energy exchanges become more faded because from my calculations, because of how on and off for many years weed helped me. Most recently I was able to also benefit from it, but for a long time I had a break as well, like say 2 years ago it started or whatever. Being most adept at balancing, desensitizing fears of losing privilege and not knowing the outcome, and of being disappointed, and of contamination, and of irreversible permanence. In other words, like desensitizing myself from my fears, like facing the fears, working with them. And I'll say them again: losing privilege, not knowing the outcome, being disappointed, contamination, irreversible permanence. Basically, I'm going to do something it's no way to reverse it. Abruptness and unpredictability, being embarrassed or caught off guard or ashamed of my past self or overexposed in a vulnerable way. Disappointment, being ganged up on. And then growing up for me is about being willing to put in the work, being willing to say and hear no to myself, being willing to wait, being willing to speak up instead of staying silent, because they should know by now, I decided, that all I perceive is only a reflection. Being willing to move on without revenge or justice or payback. That's so huge. Being willing to say sorry. From the identity development. Oh wait, one other thing. From Chayenu. Chayenu publication. They had for Miketz, which is a portion of one of the parshas, like from the Torah. This is part of the section of Tanya from the Alter Rebbe, which is called the Grand Master, the old rabbi, really. He was only referred to that after there was another one that came in, but his name was Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi. So when can a person be considered a Benoni, which means somebody who's not quite wicked and not quite evil? I mean, not quite wicked and not quite totally righteous and not quite totally wicked. So it says, at the time one sins until he repents, he is deemed as completely wicked, and if he was sinful and then repented, then thus ceasing to be wicked, he's deemed completely righteous. That's from the Talmud, Kedushin 49b. So even he who violates a minor prohibition of the rabbis is termed as wicked, as stated in Yevamos chapter 2, which is 20a, Yevamos 20a, and Nida chapter 1, which is 12a. Moreover, even he who himself doesn't sin but has the opportunity to forewarn another against sinning but fails to do so is termed wicked, as Shavuot 6, chapter 639b. All the more so, one who neglects any positive law that he is able to fulfill. Okay, Identity Development Institute. So I would encourage people to look online about it, because I did a session, and it was a small session, but it was really very, very rewarding. So whether it's nurturing, and I got this from emails that they send me. They send emails to all of us who are like signed up. So whether it's nurturing relationships, exploring creativity, focusing on health, or furthering your career ambition, we have to embrace what feels meaningful. Whatever our desires are, suggestions for mental and emotional well-being could be: 1, cultivating connection, which is building or nurturing relationships with people who see and value you, and those who can support you with your goals for this year. Whether it's a friend, family member, therapist, or a community group, having trusted connections can be a source of strength and affirmation. 2, find stillness, which is making time to unplug, stepping away from technology and reconnecting with the natural world. Could be touching the grass, or sitting by a tree, or simply pausing and breathing deeply. These small moments can ground and restore. And 3, prioritize healing, which is if carrying anxiety and grief, anxiety or grief or other emotional weight, give yourself the time and support needed to process it and integrate it. Healing can take many forms, from reflective practices to professional support. And I think I have the time to do either one or two more well, I just want to say that something that is coming up that I wrote about this a while ago, but currently I'm facing like some certain things coming up. So I think like coming out of denial about certain things, and then the feelings that come up, and it's shocking to me because it doesn't seem to really represent anything going on in my life, except things seem to trigger, and then I overreact to that thing, or I feel the trigger so strongly, but it doesn't seem to be about what's happening. So I would say that it seems like it's historical. So I found something I wrote from a number of months ago, where I wrote that when I was in denial about my resentful feelings about Benjamin, who was the first man that I dated, and I didn't want to be with him, but it was very hard. I don't know if it was about him or previous things in my life which had happened because of my dad, or who knows who else, or my mother. I had to get angry at the people who held him accountable, because I was in denial about how angry his need for me to people please him and made me. So in other words, like, I would be upset at people who actually held him accountable and made it sound like he wasn't doing everything right, because I was so set on being in denial and convincing myself that he wasn't doing anything wrong, so I didn't have to get upset. But then that anger was very strong when it finally came out. So, and then the final thing I want to talk about today is self-sabotage, from Sean Sheshan Hashmatpur. He says, there's 5 points here. 1, understand what you're afraid of, whether it's rejection, falling short of expectations, or looking foolish. 2, lean into the discomfort, because pain is how we grow. We don't have to seek out pain, but the pain itself is growing us. Choosing something that you're uncomfortable with and have been avoiding, and commit to do it and see how you feel afterwards. For example, it could be a project or a workout or a conversation, or basically talking to a man or woman that you didn't know that you could. Number 3, replace the stories that either build us up or tear us down. So telling myself, they're going to reject me, and then I'm afraid of it, and then I sabotage it, rather than actually be vulnerable and see how it goes and let them decide for themselves how they feel. And say, I'm lovable, and this could be something that helps me to reach some of my goals, or helps me to practice skills that I've always wanted to practice, or puts me in situations where I have new opportunities. Number 4, start small. When we rewire our brain, for example, let's say you do 10 push-ups, or compliment a stranger, or work out for 5 minutes. These are all things that help us to stop procrastinating, get in shape, improve our confidence. It's the starting which is the hardest part. So let's say you want to get in shape. You have to do 10 push-ups, starting small. Let's say you want to stop procrastinating. You work for 5 minutes. Let's say you want to let's say you want to improve your confidence. You compliment a stranger. So it's little things. Number 5, forgive myself in advance, accepting that I'll slip up, fall back into old habits, fail, but it's okay, because starting and trying and getting back up is what matters. And that is the last video that I'm going to be recording until Sunday. This one is until Sunday, because it is the new month. It's a Rosh Chodesh, a holiday for women, especially of Tammuz, which people call Cancer in the secular names of the months. And this month, I want to bless us all with that light, much brighter from any darkness that we went through. That the light is feels not only worth it, but literally transforms us into the versions of ourselves that we can respect and honor and love more than we even could have imagined. And may we please ourselves and care for ourselves and support ourselves to the point that we don't get frustrated when people can't provide, because we're here in more wholeness through also our acceptance of our light and our dark, and minding our own business more, just not really needing to worry about everybody else, feeling comfortable with our own business, not comparing, not projecting, not trying to get in anyone else's head, staying in my own lane, and staying in each of us in our own lane, and just not over explaining so much, and not needing to prove and justify and argue and going into manipulations, trying to mislead, just learning how to be more vulnerable, more honest, and feeling safe and secure in doing so, and feeling like the connection of Mashiach with the wisdom and the potential and the actual, and bridging that divide until it becomes like this is ideal, that we're in the real, and the real is the ideal, and it's the best thing that could ever happen. And keeping on our top line behavior and maintaining the bottom line behaviors that that we don't do or that don't work for us, and just feeling connected to our nature and our nurture, and creating things that bring us joy, and sharing our joy with others, and taking care of our body, getting in better shape or maintaining our shape depending on what you want, and just feeling at home, family, with friends, belonging, community, and taking that step into the next phase of the journey where we're on a new level, and recognizing that if we do get triggered, or if we do have like a feeling of something bad, it's actually a gift it's a divine gift to give us more energy that we could hold on to. If we don't react, we don't lash out, we don't scream and yell and control, and to feel loved beyond our wildest dreams in a way that we have best fun. I wish us all a good Shabbos, and a holy, restful Shabbos with such a ease, and not a othering, and not a, when I say othering, I mean with such a oneness, such a clean, clear oneness, a blissful feeling, and safe. I don't mean safe, I mean, of course safe. I mean safe, but even more than that, like really thriving, not just surviving, but in not a pressure way, in a peaceful way. Peace, a lot of peace. And may we accomplish what we need to accomplish, and have success in our attempts to better the world around us, and may we harness our will and use it to be of service, and to make the world a better place, and be a volunteer, and leave people and things in life better than we found it. And may new doors open for us that we didn't even know existed. Amen. Keni Hiratzon. Happy Rosh Chodesh, and have a great Shabbos. See you on Sunday, God willing.